Hello and welcome to the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series, Round 4.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing. Puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number one on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
InsideSimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Good evening everyone and welcome to live coverage of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series run by TPS in association with Tom Onslow-Cole and Team Hard. Scott Woodwiss here, running solo in fact, because unfortunately my regular co-commentator Keith Barrick is unable to join me at this present moment. Unfortunately he had some problems with his car, had a flat tyre unfortunately, which he's waiting to get replaced as I speak at a repair shop at the moment. So it's going to be me solo at the moment on comms and cameras. It's been a while since I did a broadcast doing comms and cameras together, so if I am a little rusty or make one or two mistakes, please do bear with me. Well, as you can see on the screen, this is exactly where we are then for round 4. We're at the fantastic Thruxton racing circuit in Hampshire, England, the fastest circuit in the country, and we're surely going to see some fantastic racing here. We've had 3 events rather, and 3 double-up winners in Simon Keeloff, Jack Keithley, and last time out, Toby Davis. So before we get into on-track action, let's take a look then at the current championship standings going into round 3. So at the top of the table then in the Drivers' Championship is Jack Keithley on 276 points, with his teammate Simon Keelov behind him 11 points back on 265. Toby Davis sits third on 249, with Jesper Tolborg fourth on 243, and then Tom Ely, the tail end of the breakaway 5 at the top of the championship with 236. Behind, John Monroe's 174, what's been a rather changeable week for him, which we'll get into in a moment. The impressive Rasmus Salo sits 7th on 161, ahead of William Levesque, who has recently departed the series, so that standing will eventually become irrelevant. But for the moment, he is ahead of Darren Adams in 9th with 144, and Robert Wiesemuller and Gary Lennon are equal 10th on 141 points. In the Teams Championship, Precision Motorsports are currently at the top with 541 points, ahead of THR Orange on 492 and Ice Cold Racing Lenovo on 315. THR Purple are currently 4th with 271, ahead of THR Green, their sister team, on 268. Core Racing Lenovo with 242 6th, and then THR Red with 218, Optimum Sim Racing Blue with 210, Core Racing Prime with 196, and Precision Motorsports 2 with 194, round out the teams for the top 10. So, let's give you pictures then from what we're seeing currently at Thruxton. Here is the man who's currently fastest in the qualifying session, that is Mr. Simon Keelov, and he is currently top with a 121.653. But it's the man in second that's been the main talking point of the Clios, and that is, if we can get onto him, apologies for this, there we go, this man, John Monroe. Now, John Monroe has had a change of team since we last saw him in Rockingham. He is now part of the almighty Precision Motorsports squad. We should point out that as he has joined mid-season and moved from Ice Cold Racing, he is not eligible to score team points for Precision Motorsports. He is still a Precision driver, and he will still score points for himself in the Drivers' Championship. And of course, he's still going to be helping out the rest of the Precision team, of course, here out in force. And he's also running a default skin here because he hasn't got a Precision skin done in time for him at this present moment. As we're 7.5 minutes into the session, let me move up to see if we can find a few cars out on track. We're going to watch Alexander Lauritsen here, third quickest here for Precision, as he heads around. It looks like it's going to be on outlap. Quick note on the timing glitch that we had in the past Purple broadcast. That has been now fixed, so we believe that it's Alexander Lauritsen on a hot lap. And we're heading now, he's heading on to start another lap. As he does that, we're going to also introduce you to 3 more drivers that are currently making their debuts in the Division 1 this evening. And we're going to first of all start with the man in 9th place, and it's this man here, Florian Strauss. Now, this is his first Division 1 race series since the end of last season. Now, he took his first event for this season in the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series last time out at Rockingham and in Division 2, and he managed to cap his return to the Clios with a magnificent double pole and victory, which meant he got an automatic jump into Division 1. Also, in the standings, if we just rotate the standings then round here, we can also see 2 more new names that we've got joining us for this evening. Is also going to be that man in 21st, Davy van der Venne. He is the Belgian who is partnered up with, and apologies for this, I need to have a look here, he's partnered with also Andy van der Velde in their all-Belgian lineup. And also another new driver who is also making their debut in this race is going to be, if I can find it on the screen here, apologies for that. We've also got Kevin Enderman as well. Kevin Enderman, who's driving for Team Down Under, originally from Germany, but he loves all things Australia. And that should be pretty intriguing to see how these new faces get on. Strauss is already immediately the quickest of the 3 guys who are making their debuts here tonight. In Division 1, on 9th position with a 122.8 on 480. He wasn't near the top of the times, but of course the pace is looking fast and frantic as it usually is in the Clios. So a quick note on the circuit and the Murat, as we said, it's Thruxton in Hampshire. Strauss uses all the curb and a bit more as he gets it sideways. Now this circuit, as I've said, it's been touted as the fastest circuit in the UK. Some people will argue possibly that the circuit we've just come from, Rockingham in its oval configuration, would be quicker, but really nowadays it's never really used in its oval form, it's really used in its road course / oval type form that we used for round 3. It's absolutely amazing. And this circuit, I've been talking to some of the drivers as to how to drive this circuit, and really one of the big things we're going to be seeing here, I would have thought, is going to be the fact that we've got obviously a lot of drivers here with teams or mass teams of drivers, either 3 or 4 or 5 drivers, and they're going to be using the team slipstreams as much as possible. They're going to be using their opportunity to grab slipstreams down, especially that back straight towards the club chicane, majorly to their advantage. So that's something that they're going to be looking out for. If any guys were watching the BTCC races at the weekend, of course, we'll touch on to that. Of course, we've got major news to Tom Onslow-Cole as Florian Strauss exits stage right the chicane and promptly exits back to the pits. And apologies, we're going to quickly go back to the top of the standings here with Simon Keeler as we watch him here. And we'll go for a lap here in fact this circuit before we get into anything else. So across the line we go then into Allard's 5th gear corner. It's maybe flat in qualifying, but does less in the races. And the exit comes back here on you, so it is a very tough corner. As we now take the approach towards this very challenging complex. This is the first of only 2 times you'll brake on this circuit. Throw the car into Campbell at 2nd gear, you're hard on the brakes, and this complex provides great overtaking on the inside and outside as Keogh collapsed the curb on the inside of Cobb and then through Seagrave. And from here, the exit of Campbell, all the way to the club chicane, absolutely flat on the throttle on these Clio cars. You do not touch the brakes unless there is any kind of problem here. We sweep through Noble, a very fast corner, fairly bumpy, and the big wall is pretty close on the inside. It's always difficult to get the car settled on the exit. And we run here through Goodwood. It's on the brakes and down, again, flat as well. You're going so fast through, you have to really commit, and your eyes are literally on stalks. They're like saucers here as you go through. Through this little section called Village, and towards the fastest corner on the circuit and in the championship, it's Church. You have to be extremely committed to this corner, flat through this section, use the curb on the exit, and look at that. Monroe gives him a tow, and see what Kilov will go past. And currently on this time he's half a second down the straight, and you arrive at Club Chicane with completely cold brakes. The heat that you got into them in Campbell would have dissipated by the time you get down to the chicane. This is also going to be our key overtaking spot as you come out right, left, and then right again to get over those huge curves on the inside of the corners. Use a little run off on the exit and across the start and finish line to end that lap. And that lap that time round was a 129.890 for Kilov, and he is currently still top of the standings. Second, he is currently ahead of John Monroe, a tenth ahead of him on a 127.7. And Alexander Lauritsen completes a current 1-2-3 lockout for precision on a 121.861. The fastest of the THR cars is our double winner from Rockingham last time out, and that is Toby Davis, of course, also our reigning champion. He's currently 4th on the 121.9. And they are those top 4, the only guys on 121s. The rest are all on 121s downwards. Jack Keithley, who is currently in 5th, as we cycle to him, is currently on track following the green machine of, that is, I'm trying to work out, it's number 21. Sorry, Ben Davis, apologies if we put them names on there, had to quickly make out who that was. He's currently sat 5th in the 122.0, then Tom Eady on a 121.1, also ahead of Tolborg on a 121.1 in 7th. Rasmus Salis is 8th, Florian Strauss is marking his return to Division 1, as we said, in 9th, the 122.4, and then Chris Hack rounds out the top 10 on the 122.556. So this circuit here, of course, has been pretty kind to especially quite a few drivers. It's a circuit that has produced in the last 2 seasons of Clio's a double winner. So basically what that means is that, as we had in the first 3 races, one driver winning both races. And one of those drivers is in fact Toby Davis. We'll look at him now on track here. 4th place, reigning champion, seems to have found some form once again to try and reel in the dominance of Precision, who have come into the Clio's for the first time this season and really started to run away with the championship so far. But Rockingham was the start of their fight back. And Toby has actually been a double winner here before. He was a double winner here last time out, in fact, in Season 3. So he is obviously got the momentum. And, of course, being a double winner at Rockingham, he's the man on form at the moment, of course. Toby Davis, in fact, has been also kicking off his real-life racing commitments. He currently races in the MSA British Superkart Championship with his brother Ben. And they were recently out at Castle Combe at the weekend. And they had a fantastic race, which was one of the best races I've ever seen. If you get a chance to watch this back either on the internet or if you've got access to Motors TV, if it gets shown again, I'm pretty sure it will be on Motors TV. Do check out the Motors TV race day that happened at Castle Combe, because the Superkarts were there, and of course so were Toby and Ben. Toby got a 6th position after getting a fantastic start to take the lead, and Ben Davis actually managed to end himself up on the podium, which is fantastic. A 3rd place for Ben, which is a magnificent result for him. So, I'm guessing here we're coming to the end of the session here. It's actually pretty decent conditions here. Slightly overcast, you can see at the top, but its track is 33 degrees temperature of degrees Celsius and air temperature 25 degrees. So it's fairly warm here. Nice clear conditions, as it usually is on rFactor. And watching here, we had some fantastic races in the back. One driver that is not in here but has been a past winner is Ryan Callan. And Callan had a fantastic battle all the way back in Season 1. Yeah, Season 1, in a fantastic battle with Jesper Talborg, who in fact they were they were teammates at the time. No, they weren't teammates at the time. They had a fantastic battle with Jesper Talborg, and he was also teammates also in the second season of Clio's. He actually took his double victory, and he was teammates to Florian Strauss. So of course they're now opposites, and it's quite intriguing to see how Ryan Callan has gone down to Division 2 and Florian Strauss has popped up to Division 1. So, but of course we're wishing Ryan the very best of luck, and he's apparently told me that it's going to be a definite double victory. So I'm going to hold him to that. Hopefully that will be the case. So the session has now run out, and I believe we are now this is the end of practice. So we're going to get to qualifying very soon. And as we go into practice, we're going to have a quick run here of a video of the wonderful Team Hard girls. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in just 2 seconds. and I'm rather incompetent because I've just done all that talking and I haven't actually unmuted TeamSpeak. I'm such a cloth, I do apologise. Right, as I was saying, I'll get to Tom Onslow-Cole part in a second that I was mentioning before I was pointed out that no one could hear me. Across the line goes to Talborg, and then he goes second, 122.6. It's not really a time we're expecting him to try and set, so he is down on the time at the moment. That's rather unfortunate for him. What we're going to try and do is, if we can try and bring this up now, is try and find Alexander Larriton, and he is currently getting a tow from one of his teammates in front. Also, we've got Jack Keithy and Tom Elia on a lap as well. It wouldn't surprise me if that's actually Jack Keithy in front. I will quickly double check that. Yes, it is, in fact. It is Jack Keithy who is now giving his teammate a tow. More times are coming in. Seeing it on the screen, we've got Pipo Rodriguez up to 7th on 23.4. Keithy leaves it late to get out of the way there as Larriton fires his way through Church and uses the exit curve there as well. And down the back straight towards the club chicane. Brakes will be stone cold, we said down here, but he'll try and brake as late as possible. Watch for the marker boards here. 200. There's braking at 150 metres there. Car squirming around as you'd expect with these front-wheel drive cars. Flick right, flick left. That's very oversteering. That wasn't the right line he wanted to get through. That will certainly cost him a couple of tenths. And uses the exit tarmac on the run out of club to walk across the line. He's third in the 122.623. So at the moment, Toby Davis has set the benchmark time. But look at the time for Scott Sovic. 122.5. An excellent effort there. Well done from him. Wonderful stuff from the man there who is a native. He's actually nationality is Norwegian, but he's in fact Scottish. So that's a fantastic job from him. Now we're going to go on board with Jack Keithy and watch him as he goes through. We look at the rest of the times here, and let's see if we can quickly go down to. We just go through here. Apologies for that. Jack Keithy then is now heading on to the back straight here as he goes through this section right now, and he's down by half a tenth, so he's definitely pushing on as they head through. More times coming through as you watch here. Yes, but watching the top five. Ben Davis is up to 5th on a 123.095. So for this point at least, compared to Castle Combe, Toby has the advantage over his brother by just a fraction over a second. Keithy then heads down towards Church Corner. Immense speeds as they fly through here, and he's down, lost more time by almost now quarter of a second down on pole position as they head up towards the club chicane once again. And look at this, the precision cars almost going in team formation as they head down towards the chicane here for the end of his lap. Much cleaner run through the section here. They flick again through the corner. Look at his run again. Keithy clouts the curbs here. Championship leader is under pressure here to try and grab pole position. Has he found any more time as he goes across the line? Answer to that is, well, not quite. He's lost a bit more time. In fact, he's down on 122.430. So for the moment, it is currently Toby Davis on pole position with the championship leader, Jack Keithy, alongside him as well. Looking also for a few more drivers. Simon Kilo is also on a run, as is also John Munro. Let's see if we can pick them up at the moment. Let's see who is closest now to ending his lap. We're looking here. It's actually looking now at John Munro. So we'll look at Munro here. This is his first race weekend now for Precision Motorsports. As we said, doesn't have a Precision Motorsports paint job because the deal was so short notice that they actually weren't actually able to get him one done. So that's why he's running the default TouringProSeries skin. As they head down towards the fastest part of the course onto Village now. And that behind, I believe, is Simon Keilov, he's now grabbing a tow from his now brand new teammate. And Keilov actually said he's been very impressed by him, as Simon Keilov is absolutely flying behind. So we've got to now actually go for Simon Keilov, because Keilov is on course to take pole position here. He was up by about a couple of tenths here. So the slipstream and the advantage that he's got here is absolutely magnificent. He's second in the championship as Matsuski goes to 14th quickest in the times as they sweep through. So current pole time is 122.063. Will it be a 121 as he goes across the line? Answer is yes, it is. 121.862 by Simon Keilov to go pole by just a fraction under 2/10 of a second. Magnificent effort there from the young Dane. Car 47 hits the front of the grid. Wonderful stuff there. And he is it's now going to be Keilov and Davis on the front row. Where did Munro slot in, or has he set a time yet? I don't think he has. No, in fact, this is clever what they're doing here. Is that we've got one car on an outlap or an in-lap in front of the man setting his tyre, which means they get the draft and they get the advantage here. And I was talking actually to the Precision guys as we now watch. If I can now go to look at the times here. Chris Hack jumps to 7th. Wonderful effort from him on a 122.783. And Tom Ely's also done a 124.852. He really has struggled. He was the man that set pole position back in back in Rockingham in race 2. But watching here's John Monroe. He's currently heading down. Look at how close he wants to get through Church. He's really giving it some. We're going to try and quickly skip to him now. He's down. Look at this. It's a fantastic time from John Monroe. They've said that he was up there. They've already been impressed by him so far in the testing they've done already. As John Monroe brings it down towards the club chicane to end his lap. What's his run going to be through here? Well, he's nice and clean through the right, through the left. It's almost up on 2 wheels, and again rumbling over the curves on the exit towards the end of the lap. There's John Monroe. Well, he's got himself onto the grid. The answer is he goes second. It's an all-precision front row then, as Monroe goes second at 122.051. It's close enough to at the end of a 121, but it wasn't quite there. So, at the moment, can anyone dethrone Precision off the front row? It's Keeloff from Monroe, then Davis and Keithley. Sovic up to 5th with Rasmus Salo in 6th, running through the rest of the times. Anyone else who hasn't said of them yet? We've got Florian Strauss, in fact, so we're going to go to him. He's up to start his lap now, so we'll go with Florian Strauss then. And once again, that familiar 360 racing livery. The 2011 Virtual V8 Supercar champion. Had a pretty rough year last year. Well, didn't have much success. The only real high points of the season he had in last year's Clio Cup was a win and a 3rd place at Poznan last year. And the rest of that, apart from that, he only finished in the top 10 another 3 times. Other than that, he had 1 or 2 incidents and didn't have the best of fortunes for the rest of the season. And he's currently down by almost 0.4 of a second, so he's definitely trying to plug on. And at this rate, looking at the times, 0.4 of a second will put him somewhere. In fact, it'll put him, for the moment, it'll put him around about 4th. But of course, will he lose any more time? He doesn't have the benefit of a slipstream on this back section through Church and down towards the club chicane and the back straight. Let's see how much more time he loses without that benefit. Without that benefit of a slipstream, he lost more. Look at that. And he lost roughly about 1/10 and a bit. So half a second will put him, looking at the times here, you'd see that's going to put him right around. In fact, it will still put him about 4th. So he could even dethrone Jack Keithley from the 2nd row of the grid here. Watch with anticipation as Florian Strauss heads through the final chicane to end his qualifying lap. It's his first qualifying session back into Division 1 since last year. Where will this put him then? We'll find out. Cross the line he goes. Florian Strauss puts himself into 6th. So he lost time in that final sector, and without the aid of a slipstream, that has really hurt him there. So we've got a grid then for our first race here at Thruxton. What we'll do then, we're going to go into warm-up, but until then, we'll play a couple of sponsor videos. We'll be back before you know it for warm-up and the first race of tonight's event of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series in Thruxton. Back in 2.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing. Puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number 1 on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
And welcome back then to Thruxton, where we are just in the warm-up then for the first of our 2 races tonight for round 4 of the TouringProSeries Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series then. So here's the grid there going into race 1, and it's a pole position for Simon Keeloff, the only man into the 121s. He grabs the top spot for Precision Motorsports. Alongside him, their brand new signing John Monroe, making an immediate impact in the team with a front row start in that car. He'll be running the independent skin, but running as an independent. He won't be scoring points for Precision in the Teams Championship, but he will still score points individually. What a start to his career as a Precision driver. Toby Davis lines up on the 2nd row, the reigning champion, alongside the championship leader, Jack Keithley, 3rd and 4th. Scott Sovic with an excellent effort to go 5th. That's a real surprise there to hit him up there high in the grid. That's dizzying heights for him. Alongside, welcoming back Florian Strauss, 6th place on his first run back in Division 1 since last year. Rasmus Salo is 7th, ahead of Alexander Lauritsen in 8th. And Jesper Talborg and Chris Hack round out the top 10. Now the rest of the grid. Heinz Petzold, the South African, is 11th for Core, alongside Chris Butcher, who returns for this weekend. He's only 12th in this first race in terms of the qualifying. 13th is Luca Peklash and Darren Core to make it an all-Core racing 7th row. Row 8 is going to be Gary Lennon in Ice Cold and Tom Noby for Essex Online Racing. Row 9 is going to be Davy van der Venne for AD Racing and Pipo Rodriguez in the sole GT Competizione machine, Thomas Matsuski and Simon Shepherd for THR on Core, round out row number 10. Rounding out the rest of the grid then as we look at them, we've got Jimmy Hughes for Walk Racing and Thomas Jacobs for the 6th Axis on row 11. Row 12 is going to be Nick Hughes for Surreal Illusions and Jonathan Osselklint for Optimum Sim Racing. Row 13 is going to be James Gahagan and Robert Powell for Essex Online Racing and Core. And then the rest of the fields they go through, we've got Robert Powell for Core and we've got Tom Ely all the way down in 27th. He's going to have a real struggle to come up through the field. He'll be one to watch throughout the race. Alongside him is Kevin Enderman. And then behind at the back of the grid is going to be Jay Adji in the sole THR machine. That rounds up the 29 car grid that are here today at Thruxton. So what we're going to do quickly is we're going to have a look at one of the Core racing cars, and we're going to see if we can have a look at Chris Hack then. We scroll through him very quickly if we can find one of the Core racing cars. Apologies if we do this now to go through. It's one of these cars here. And here we go. Right, the Core racing cars, we've got some brand new liveries here, at least I believe. That's what they're going to be running, or at least not yet. I thought they were going to be running their new liveries. It's Chris Butcher having some dodgems there, one of the THR green machines. It looks to me as if it was possibly Ben Davis. But talking about Chris Butcher, in fact, Chris Butcher wasn't present for the last round at Rockingham, and so he really does need a good result. In fact, it's no possible need about it. He really does absolutely need a result here because he has in danger of dropping into Division 2. So that really is something he needs to try and work on. He's got a good position on the grid, in fact. Of course, he's going to be starting in 12th, so he's relatively round the middle of the pack. Possibly something he can maybe do there. What was intriguing is behind him, if we look back on the rear camera here, look at the Gagler position cars behind. They're really practicing their drafting here, and they're bullying the THR cars in the warm-up lap here, a warm-up session here. That's not too good here. But what's also quite good is that, look at Toby Davis. And also, was that one of the other THR cars there? Really are using a lot of the curves here, over the sausage curves here as they go across the line. And Warwick clock has tipped over, which means we're now going to go into the race session here. Quick note as well is that we have a bit of a treat for you guys that after the race, if you want to catch some expertly constructed highlights of the Virtual V8 Supercars, the opening rounds at Albert Park, you can head to our YouTube page at youtube.com/TouringProSeries. Make sure to hit subscribe because the full broadcast will be uploaded in full up on the YouTube page, as well as a detailed highlights as well. And we're coming now to the start of the practice session here, of the race here, so we'll quickly head towards the start of the session here now. We're looking here to see if we can find, and I believe if we go onto our start here, and we'll come to the first of the drivers. So there's Simon Keeloff waiting to get onto the grid. A few more seconds and we'll be underway very shortly. As we were saying, quickly plugging our social, where you can contact us on social media. So we've got the YouTube page of youtube.com/TouringProSeries. Of course, you can subscribe and keep up to date with all the latest full broadcasts uploaded in full, as well as expertly constructed highlights packages put together by League Admin Ryan Callan. Also, you can keep on track with us on Facebook and on Twitter, facebook.com/TouringProSeries, and catch us on Twitter at Touring_Pro. Make sure to follow us on both. Of course, you can also follow Tony Gillam, and also, which I believe is Tony Gillam 34. Apologies if that is incorrect. And also, you can follow Tom himself at Tom Onslow-Cole. You can also hit their like on their Facebook page as well, facebook.com/Tom Onslow-Cole. And facebook.com/Team Hard, I believe. As the cars make their way around them, looking at the ambient conditions, it's 27 degrees track temperature, 27 degrees air temperature. And we're looking back here now, from the back now of Simon Keeloff's car, and hopefully that's the only vehicle he wants to see. The only vehicle he wants to see in front of him is this, clear track. And hopefully that is going to be the case for Precision if they manage to pull off a fantastic victory here. Toby Davis is key, he knows he's the form man here. And Chris Butcher as well we're talking about. This place has been kind to him. This is where he managed to pick up his first ever TPS victory in the first season of the Clios. And he'll be wanting to try and repeat that and get a fantastic result here. Cars form up here. Cars to watch as well in the background. Watch out for Scott Sovic in the Optimum Sim Racing car, 5th position. There he is. Optimum Sim Racing car. And he's with Rasmus Salo also 7th. So excellent stuff from OSR to put themselves up near the front. Also Chris Hack has also done well for Core Racing. And also watch for Ben Davis and also Tommy to make their way through the field then. As the rest of the field make their way up towards the club chicane. And this is going to be a race of overtaking opportunities. This is going to be the main pass here. May see a lot of guys trying to get outside passes into the complex as well. It's a move that was made a move called the Swedish Shuffle, which is a name coined by ex-BTCC commentator and now MotoGP commentator Charlie Cox, in tribute to Ricard Rydell, who was an expert at pulling off that manoeuvre. And of course we'll see plenty of drivers trying that then. So, the 29 drivers make their way onto the grid then. Of course, sitting on the grid for what will seem to be an age. They head towards the final spot on the grid then. So waiting for the start of this race then. It is race 1 of round 4 of the 2013 Tom Onslow-Cole TPS Clio Series then. Revs are rising and ready for the start here. And adrenaline's rising, lights right away, we go. Great launch from John Monroe. Was that even a jump start? I don't think it was. But off the line he goes, quick and start, he goes, and he's trying to go through the middle of them already. And around the outside goes John Monroe. But Kilo is holding off at the moment. Davis trying to force him out the inside. And what a start from Strauss. Well, up to 5th already, past Keithley. They're going to go 3 wide down towards the complex for the first time. Who's going to get the lead? It's going to be, I think, going to be Monroe. Yes, Monroe's got it, but no. Up the inside goes Simon Keelov, and they're funneling through. And there's a car wide, one of the Core Racing cars is there. Side by side is Keelov and Davis. But Davis has to give way and has to slip for second then. He's up the inside down towards Noble. He can go around the outside here as they run side by side up towards the left-hander. And look at 4th. John Monroe, it's a fantastic start. Look at this, up to 3rd, challenging John Monroe around the outside. Now the inside run for, that's now Goodwood, and up towards finish for the first time here. And right, looking back there, Toby Davis monstering the back of the position clear here. And already, look at Florian Strauss monstering Scott Sobick in the background as they head down towards Church for the first time. Pulling through, bang, 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 like one, bullets out of a gun, one after the other. Fantastic shot here as they all funnel their way through. Excellent start here, back to the front now. And side by side for the lead, it's Davis and Keelov. The brakes are going to be stone cold on the first lap down towards chicane. Has Davis got enough to break round the outside? Keelov's going defensive, but he holds the inside line, he's got it, yes. So it's still leading through over the curves, they bounce their way through. Look at the air they're getting over here. What a shot this is, they funnel their way through the club chicane across the line. It's Keelov from Davis, Monroe in 3rd, Strauss up to 4th. Then Sobick, Keithley, Lauritz and Talbot, Rasmus Solo down to 9th. Heinz Petzold is down to 10th, Chris Butcher's up 1 spot to 11th. And Chris Hack dropped 3 spots down to 13th again. Watching out the front, it's still Keelov from Davis, and Keelov almost outbreaks himself as he goes wide to Campbell. You can pass on the outside here. Oh, and Davis got round the outside. What a pass that was. Toby Davis takes the lead. And Monroe capitalised on the mistake. He thinks, oh, a piece of this. Thank you very much. Goes up to 2nd. Wonderful stuff. It's fantastic for Davis and Monroe, but poor for Keelov. That's a nightmare, down from 1st to 3rd in the sequence of 2 corners. That is absolutely amazing, and he can lose another place now because look, Keelov's going back up the inside of Monroe. Davis is sprinting away here. You think, see you later boys, I am off, and he's definitely trying to show that. And look at Sobick putting these two under major pressure, and Strauss up the inside as well. 4 cars equal as they go through Church Corner once again, then nose to tail once more. Down the back straight, there's 6 of them. This is fantastic. Strauss goes to the outside to get 2nd place. Look at the toe he got to the outside, but Keelov will have the inside run down towards chicane. Once again, who's going to be last to the late breakers? Look like it's possibly going to be Strauss around the outside. He's done it. What a pass that was from Florian Strauss. Absolutely 5-star driving there from the 360 car. What a move that was. Takes 2nd place from Keelov, and now Monroe's back in there, and behind is almost 3 abreast then, down towards Allard. At the start of lap 3, this is now Jack Keithley defending from Scott Sobick and his team Alexander Lauritsen. And also, we've got Jesper Talborg in there too. 4-way scrap for 5th place, this is fantastic. The top 4 have kind of calmed down a little bit as now Keithley goes up the inside defending from Scott Sobick. He has to hold it up at the moment, and Lauritsen and Sobick now touch doors. Through Cobb and now through Seagrave once again. What a frantic first few laps. We're always certain that the TPS Clios, the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series, makes fantastic racing. We've seen the first 3 rounds have been fantastic, and Thruxton is no exception. Through Noble, up towards Goodwood now. And look, and Davis already has a 1.1 second advantage over Florian Strauss in 2nd. Keelov is still there right on his rear wing. And it really is so much action, you don't know where to look, as Lauritsen now has a run up the inside of Scott Sobick and takes 6th position. As behind also got That's Solid up the inside of Talborg into 8th position. Fantastic stuff. And also, there is, looking back now from Simon Keelov now, the rear wing of the Precision Motorsports car number 47. There is their brand new team leader, John Monroe. Team member John Monroe as they flick through the club chicane. Right, left, then right again. Bumping the tyres, hammering the suspension, but racing on. Across the line, Toby Davis sets the fastest lap of the race, 122.3. That's as fast as what he managed in qualifying. Amazing pace he's setting right now. Davis is using the fact that he's got the momentum of taking the double win, not only here last year, but at Rockingham last time out, to his advantage, and he's absolutely on form. As behind, oh, that's someone sideways. Was that Keithy? I think it was. Someone was, no, it was probably Lauritsen. It was Lauritsen sideways ahead of the two Optimum Sim Racing cars. Magnificent stuff here. We're looking now back to Jack Keithy. Now this is now looking from the bumper of Jack Keithy as he follows John Monroe then. So currently it's Davis leading from Strauss in second. Then positions 3rd, 4th and 5th and 6th. So all 4 of their cars running in this race are almost nose to tail here. In fact, a second covers them at the last split. This is absolutely magnificent. And right now, I think, it looks to me as if that's now, is that Keelov giving Strauss a headache? It is. Through Church Corner they go once more. Fantastic pace being set here. Look at the toe they're all getting down the back straight. This is amazing. We said this. They were saying that slipstream would be absolutely key, and it absolutely is. Look at down towards the club chicane once again. Last of the late breakers once more. Strauss defends that inside line. He's wise for the attack that these 4 are going to put on. And if anything, Strauss is kind of forming a queue behind it, because look at that. He's now, because he's backing the 4 precision cars into the 2 Optimum sim racing machines of Rasmus Salo and Scott Sobick, and Talborg's going with them as well. This is incredible. 3 seconds covers, 5.6 seconds covers 1st to 10th. That's how close it is. And Strauss is a bit of a breather now. And behind is that also, I think that's Sobick up the inside and Rasmus Salo up the inside of Lauritsen gives him a shove, puts him sideways. But Lauritsen holds on to 6th as they go through the end of the complex. Do you know where to look? This is absolutely amazing. We're going to watch now at the moment for Rasmus Salo. In fact, we're going to move on, in fact, because look at this! Monroe is looking, in fact, that is Keelov into 2nd. Monroe is now side by side with Strauss to go round towards Goodwood Corner. And he's dodged him wide. Monroe's up the inside now towards onto Village. And he's bringing Keithy with him. Yes, he has. So Strauss is down to 5th in the blink of an eye. And it could be 6th because here comes Lauritsen. He's got to toe off Keithy into Church Corner. The Precision has won. The cavalcade just goes straight past him. And Strauss is thinking, well, I had 4 in my rearview mirror. Now they're all in front of me. What's going on here? And it's not over because look at this. We're looking at Lauritsen. Has got Strauss on his outside. Would he be daring enough to go on the outside? They break to stone cold down towards Club Chicane. But Lauritsen holds on. Wow, this is absolutely stuff. We're going to be out of breath by the end of this race. This is amazing. And now Strauss is under pressure from Rasmus Salo, the Flying Finn, in 7th position. Into lap 6. And Davis is now up and away by 2.2 seconds. And then just the Precision Procession winds its way up towards the complex for the 6th time. There's Davis flashing through the shop. And what's going on here? They're all checking up again, and Salo has got past Strauss in the background, you can see there. Salo's up to 6th, Strauss is down to 7th. And the next time, and he's slowly falling backwards through the top 10, and his next person he could be under attack from is Jesper Talborg, who was 4/10 of a second behind him at the last as he went through sector 1. And look at how close here. We're going to get Kin on board now, I think, with Jack Keithy. Look at how close Alexander Lauritsen gets through this section here. Round the back of the circuit. And behind them, that's Strauss, who is giving Rasmus Salo, of course, can set up the inside. He's very brave to go up the inside of Church Corner. They're side by side again, almost touching panels. How close is that? So 120, 130 miles an hour. Upward and hill towards the chicane once again, and Talborg's going with them. Side by side on the brakes, and Salo holds on, and Talborg thinks look around the outside, but he's wise to it, doesn't want to ruin his race so far. Jesper Talborg, the winningest driver in TPS history. As Monroe sets the fastest lap of the race, he's taken 2/10 off of Toby Davis's fastest lap. It was 122.3, it's now 122.1, and on that time around, Monroe was half a second quicker than Davis, because Davis' time was 122.6. So the precision cars are working together in that slipstream to just start to reel in Toby Davis now. The gap was 2.2, it's now 1.7. They've taken half a second out of him. It's fantastic work here. Fantastic teamwork here. This is what Precision told me in the week. Teamwork is going to be key here. Running together as a pack and getting that collective draft here. It's like tandem drafting in NASCAR. Find your partner and try and push towards the front. And now looking back now from what looks to be looking ahead now. On board with Jesper Tolborg, and look at that, he's taking a lot of curve on the inside. He may have a run now on Strauss on the Strauss down the back straight, but Strauss has to tow Gonzalo. This will be intriguing as they head down towards the chicane. And Tolborg pulls out, and does he be able to stick up the inside? He's giving him a huge hip and shoulder into the club chicane. Well, excuse me, that was a huge shove out of the way. Tolborg said, "Come on, Flores, give it up, 7th place. Boof, that's mine." My goodness, Strauss will not like that one bit. I'm sure he wanted a bit of revenge on that one. You can see he's monstering the way the rear bumper of that THR car. We'll come back to that. As still, the precision cars are nose to tail here. Watching here, this is how it looks. That Kilo has been shuffled to the back of that train, to 5th, and Monroe is being allowed to run away with it here. Now this is intriguing. The 3 precision cars here are allowing Monroe to just try and go and chase after Toby Davis, but you can see the times change there. So it looks to me as if Toby Davis is putting out here, as there goes Keelov up the inside of Lauritsen. Now they're just playing games here at the moment. They're just trying to slot themselves into order to get themselves into the kind of pecking order that they want to get themselves into. Then we're on to lap 8. We've got 2 16-lap races here, so we're coming up to the end of half distance now in this first event. Pace is so quick, the races are over just like that, but down towards chicane once again, and if anything, these guys are really close, but again, Davis pulled out another 10th on Monroe then. But these 3, I don't know what they want to be battling amongst each other, because the more they fight each other, the easier it's going to be for the cars behind to catch them up, and in the front of the cars leading the charge to catch the precision machines is Jesper Tarbor, because he has got past Rasmus Salo. That was through the complex. Didn't see it on camera, but I saw the standings change. They head now up towards the complex once more. There's Davis. There's Monroe in the independent machine livery car. And there is the trio of yellow and grey machines of, in order, Keithley, Keelov and Lauritsen. As you watch them now as they come onto the back of the circuit. And that, I think, looks to me, now that is Keelov looking to try and get around the outside of his team leader Keithley, and he's done it. He's got confidence in the grip of the tyres here. They said the tyre wasn't going to be too no matter too much. These things aren't as quick as BTCC cars. Remember back in the weekend we saw quite a few punctures, especially on the left front, because there's a lot of strain going on the outside tyre here. Because it's a smaller car, more compact, less powerful, shorter wheelbase, not as much strain going on. Mikhailov is now into 3rd. Now he gets to chase after his teammate as they head down towards the club chicane again. Watching now behind what we've got in terms of close battles here. We've got Butcher up the inside of Scott Sovic, and that's with 10 as they funnel their way through the chicane. Back to here, and Butcher is now up to 9th, so he's got some into the top 10. And Scott Sovic, after his qualifying 5th, is starting to steadily fall down the back and fall to the edge of the top 10. He's in danger of dropping out of it because Heinz Petzold and Chris Hack and the 2 core racing cars in the background, there they are, could have a chance of getting past here. But right now, Toby Davis still has that lead, 2.3 seconds. Through the complex once again then. Butcher 9th, Sovic 10th, Petzold 11th, and Chris Hack 12th as they funnel through then. The closest battle right at the moment, although Keelov is starting to get close. But look at that, in fact he's past Monroe. So Keelov feels that he's the quickest man, but Monroe, it looks like he's got other ideas. Remember, he may not be in a precision coloured car, but he is a precision driver. He's having to run the default skin here in Thruxton, and he's not giving up that 2nd place. He's not giving up without a fight. Down the back straight, up Woodham Hill towards the chicane once again for the 10th time. Now, will Monroe try and dive up the inside? Let's wait and see under brakes for the chicane. But no, Keelov covers him off and thinks, hold on a minute, Sunshine, this place is mine for the moment. Let me try and head the precision pack for the moment. Davis still has the lead. What, has the gap come down at all across the line? Answer to that is no, it hasn't. It's still 2.5. Allard once more for the 11th time. Going into the last 5 or 6 laps, and Munro's getting desperate behind the back of his teammate. Will he try to dive up the inside, or is he more wise? Is he a bit more clever than that? More clever than that. He doesn't want to nudge him out of the way and put him into Precision's bad books just days after he's joined them. But if anything, Munro really has come on as strong as a driver in the 2 weeks. Between Rockingham and Thruxton, they seem to have bestowed all their precision knowledge onto the young Scotsman. And he's making the most of it as he's now right up there. But all four of them can't seem to put that much of a dent into Toby Davis's gap. And of course we've talked about tyres, and I have a feeling that it's going to be the guy who's looked after his tyres the most in this breakaway pack that's going to be smiling with a couple of laps to go, because I think he'll be the one that's going to be able to make most of an advantage from it. And once again, the precision cars form up. Line astern, it's Keelov ahead of Keith Munro, then Keithy and Lauritsen. Is there going to be a change? Looks to me that's Keithy holding on to 4th ahead of Lauritsen. And look at this. Oh! I think Munro actually, I think he clubbed the inside tyres on the exit of the club chicane. That's put Keithy up his inside, and that's into 3rd place. But look who's come to join the party behind them. In 6th, Jesper Talborg. Let's go on board with Jesper. Bonnet cam here, watching the view ahead. There's the quartet of precision machines as they thumb through the complex once more, counting the curves here. Remember, such is the nature of these Clios, you can go through them at such a speed that from Campbell or exit Campbell all the way through to the club chicane, it's possible to never touch the brakes until then. You are literally flat out through this section. That's why it's called the fastest circuit in the country. At the moment it's looking pretty close, and things starting to spread out at the moment here as they head onto the back of the circuit. And it is still Talborg who's now just starting to reel in Lauritsen. He's got a chance here. And looking behind now, this is the move from Lauritsen. And look at the speed Jesper Talborg got off the church corner, down towards the chicane here. He's got a chance for 5th in our top 5 place. Both for TH Orange cars, good him get onto the podium at this rate. Here comes Talborg then, up the inside into 5th. So, the precision train's been broken because Talborg muscles his way through. Now the next target's John Munro, unless Lauritsen can get himself back past. Swarming all over the back of Talborg's THR Orange Clio. But Talborg will not give way. He's forcing to think again and try and make a move. Will he dive up the inside here into the complex? We're trying to make the Swedish shuffle, but he just wasn't far enough alongside. So, right now, Talborg has 5th. What's his pace like? Is it possible that he can maybe catch up to the cars in front? We're on lap 13. There's less than 5 laps to go. Here is Toby Davis then. And the gap has come down to less than a second. There's Keelov. You can see it's visibly closer. But Keelov finding some more pace here in the latter part of this race. Maybe his tyres are in a better condition. Maybe Davis has possibly burnt them up a bit too much in his effort to try and pull away. But the gap's come down by another 10th. You can see it now. Looking back from Toby Davis, there is the silver and grey Clio of Simon Keelov. They brake hard now, down into the chicane again. Such high curves here. Very easy to unsettle the Clio. And these things are practically like go-karts. Of course, as we said, Toby Davis races superkarts in real life. So he's accustomed to things that are small, lightweight, and very agile. It's exactly what this Clio is. Right up his street. Of course, Simon Keelov also races karts in real life. John Munro is also someone who is looking to get into hill climbing. His father has a hill climbing machine. I believe it's a hill climbing. I apologize if this is wrong. I think it's either a Dallara or a Reynard. I think it's a Reynard. So most of these guys at the front here do race in real life. As does Alexander Lauritsen. In 6th. We're on lap 14, 2 laps to go now as they head through the rest of the pack here. There is Kilov in second place. Looking back now is Jack Keithley, who's got John Munro, and look at this, look behind them as well. This is the view from Keithley. Munro's in fourth, but look who's looming behind him, yes, for Talbot, and look at the run he's got through Church again. He's doing exactly what he did to Larrits now a lap ago. Munro goes defensive, and this is very clever from Talbot. Gets the top Munro, now he's going on the back of Keithley. He can go around the outside of the Scotsman here, down towards the club chicane. Will he be able to make that move stick? And yes, he does, or does he? Because look at that, Munro's fighting back, but Talbot is through. Wonderful pass from Jesper Talbot into fourth place. Now, can he get onto the podium now? Two laps remaining. There is a chance. He's close enough, and I think he could maybe be able to make this move stick then. Quick rundown of places. It's Davis from Kilov. A second separates them. 1.3 seconds back is Keithley, who is just holding off Talbot, but for how much longer? Talbot just has a bit of a dive on the inside, and Munro's giving him a clout in the rear, trying to reclaim fourth place back. He wasn't impressed by Talbot making the move there, and he might just see if he can make that move again and get him back as they run through Noble once again. Look at how close Talbot gets. He really is closing right on the back bumper. Talbot is giving everything he's got. This could be possibly THR cars first and third, but Munro is not too finished. He nudges Talbot, almost tips him sideways, and that was lucky from Talbot not to put that into a whole slide. These cars are so light on the rear end, all the weight's on the front. These cars are so light you can spin them around with your little finger and they'll go around. But look at this, it's so side by side. Munro's doing exactly what Talbot did. He's got the slipstream off Keithley, and he's back into fourth. Or has he? Because here comes Talbot back up the inside. They're under brakes. Last of 8 breakers. Munro almost just nudges the back of Keithley's rear bumper, and they're back to how they were a lap ago. Almost, in fact. Because Keithley's third, then Munro fourth, Talbot fifth, Larrison sixth. Is that side by side? No, it's going to change for the lead. Kilov's in front of Davis. So how did that happen? Quickly, let's look at a replay if we can. Well, we can't look at a replay, fortunately, but Kilov has got past. Kilov is in the lead now, but Davis back up the inside into the complex. There was contact. Kilov's pushed wide. They're side by side through Campbell. Kilov holds the inside of run through Cobb, and as the sea goes, now they'll go flat out now up towards the club chicane. And Davis got the better run on the exit. They'll go side by side. Maybe he'll try an outside pass through Noble. I don't think he'll be able to manage it if he can get alongside. But where do you look? It's so close here. Looking back now, from Davis trying to go around the outside. If he can pull it off, it's a fantastic pass. Can he do it? This is a fantastic run. Kilov pushes him out wide. Has he got the grip? Has he got the pace? Almost. They bang doors side by side up towards Church. Surely not around the outside here, but he's staying put. Oh, this is fantastic. Davis on the grass. They're side by side again. Up towards the club chicane for the final time, last of the 8 breakers. Davis has his nose in front. Kilov up the inside. Under brakes, can he defend? Davis moves across the side by side. Oh, Davis is sideways, but he holds on. That was incredible. Oh, Kilov's out of shape major. And after a magnificent pass, Toby Davis wins the first race. How about that for a finish? Davis wins, Kilov second, Keithley third. Munro was fourth, and Larrison snatched fifth from Talbot in the last couple of laps. Look at that, they were equal over the line. Rasmus Sala gets seventh, Florian Strauss is eighth. Tommy ninth, and Chris Butcher rounds out the top 10. Wow, what a finish that was. Toby Davis gets his third win in a row at Thruxton, and third win in a row of the season. He's the most winningest driver of the season so far of any man to win more than 2 races, and that was an amazing finish. Edge of your seat. If you were not biting your nails and literally eyes glued to the screen, then I don't know what was wrong with you, because that was a fantastic battle for the lead. All came down to the last corner, so fantastic outside driving from Toby Davis to stick that car all the way around the outside on the grass, no less. What an absolute barnstormer of a finish to that first Clio race there. Whew, I think I have to take a bit of a break then. So this is the rest of the field then, as we look through. Chris Hack was 11th, Heinz Petzold 12th, Darren Adams 13th, Scott Sovic 14th, Jimmy Hughes was 15th ahead of Pipo Rodriguez 16th, James Gahagan 17th, Thomas Matsuski 18th, Davey van der Venne finishes 19th on his first race back in Division 1, and Gary Lennon rounds out the top 10 on an off weekend so far. What we will do then is we'll take a break, and then after that we'll go into the second qualifying session look at the rest of the field. Actually, no, we'll look at the rest of the field first of all. We've got the rest of the field. 21st, Simon Shepherd. 22nd, only Ben Davis, having a pretty off weekend here as well. Robert Powell was 23rd. Jayachi 24th. Nick Hughes 25th. Jonathan Osler 26th. And Thomas Jacobs was 27th and last. As we said then, so stay tuned. We'll head now to a break. Back in 2 minutes for the warm-up session for qualifying session for race 2 of this fantastic race here. I need a breather because that was pretty intense. Back in 2.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing. Puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number one on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
InsideSimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
And welcome back then to the 4th round of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series here. Have you guys got your breath back? Because that was such a wonderful finish to the race there with Toby Davis just holding out. We thought he'd lost the lead with a couple of seconds to go, on the final lap, but somehow he was able to hold on and get himself a fantastic result to claim victory with an amazing save on the outside. How about that? That was just insane. That was Ivan Muller style save that was, when he was tipped round by Jason Plato in 2005. What an absolute barnstorming save that was. Right, we are now into the second qualifying session then. You know the drill, 10 minutes, single flying lap for everyone to try and determine who is on the, who starts where for race 2. And what we've seen so far in recent qualifying sessions, especially in both Brands Hatch and Rockingham, we do tend to get a surprise pole sitter in race 2, so maybe we're going to repeat that. I'm just going to try and find someone we can pop onto a onboard lap with. And once again, Toby Davis has gone onto He's gone onto a lap early, so we're going to go on board with the pulses here. And one thing I'm not quite sure is I'm not quite sure why Toby is running with. I have no idea why his car is completely blank white. I apologise for that. I'm not sure if that's possible with rFactor's having a problem reading the skin. I'm not quite sure. If it is, I'm not quite sure why. Maybe he's probably jumped. Maybe he's jumped back in. I don't know. But Davis is running up all white car then, for whatever reason. But he's going to slow down here, and he will wind up for his qualifying lap. It's absolutely amazing. This amazing job he did. He led for practically the whole race, and Keeloff just caught him at the end. But he managed to practically stay side by side with Keeloff for almost half a lap. That just shows you the skill and determination that Toby Davis has. He put off a fantastic start, as we mentioned earlier on, he was about 3rd or 4th on the grid for the supercar race at Castle Cuban, was leading by the first couple of corners, which is amazing. And Davis, they're getting very squirrely under braking. You saw the front of the back end of the car was moving around. You saw him frantically soaring away at the wheel to keep the rear end in check. He bounds over the curve of Seagrave and off towards the back of the circuit. And his split will come up sooner or later. And also looking, we've got Talborg is on a lap as well, on his out lap, as is Darren Adams. James Cahagan is on a lap too. You can usually tell who's on a lap because the squares of their positions are a lighter shade of yellow, and those who are a lighter shade of yellow are out on track. Those that are darker are currently still in the pits. So Davis has now found Jesper Talborg, and he'll now grab a nice slipstream down the back straight towards the club chicane to finish his lap. And his fastest time was a 1:22. Forget the time it was, but down towards the club chicane he goes. Talborg graciously moves out of the way and spins in the process. So as helpful as that was, it's possibly compromised his run into his qualifying lap. But nonetheless, championship reigning champion Toby Davis crossed the line, and he sets a 1:22.242. So that is him. Currently provisional pole, as Talbot still hasn't finished recovering from his spin. He gets back on track as Pipo Rodriguez goes to... Well, he's gone top, but I think Toby's just gone jumped out, I think, to replace his skin, I think, because he's having one or two problems. That's probably the reason why it's coming up. But he's currently still provisional pole, so Pipo Rodriguez second, Darren Adams third. And we've got Luca Peckwise who's gone up to what is now provisional fourth, and Nick Hughes is fifth. If you're wondering why I'm calling them in the wrong positions, as I've just said, Toby Davis has just jumped out because he's having one or two problems with his skin, I think, because it was showing as an all blank white car with number 1 on the window. Hopefully that will be fixed in due course. Gary Lennon goes to second, 1:23.208. Robert Powell. Jesper Talborg's flying though. Look at that, he's quicker than his teammate here in his first sector. He's up by 14 thousandths of a second. You can tell anyone who's on the fastest sector or running a faster time than the provisional pole goes to their position number goes pink, and he's still up without the aid of a tow. He's up by 4 tenths of a second. Gary Lennon is still going quicker. Now, surely Gary Lennon has already done a lap, so he shouldn't be going out for another run, I don't think. In fact, Lennon's actually gone to... In fact, he's gone pole, in fact. That's provisional pole. No, he hasn't. No. I'm getting all over the place here because it showed him as a fastest sector 1, but surely that shouldn't count because he shouldn't be doing another run. But here comes Talborg then. How much time has he gained through the final sector? Across the line he goes. And he's lost quite a bit of time. 23.016. So he is currently in third, because there goes Toby Davis popping back to the top of the timesheets. And Lennon's going for another lap. That shouldn't be happening. We'll look at that quickly. But Lennon's gone back into the pit, so that's worked well for him. Now Jack Keithy quickly recycled through. Apologies for that. Jack Keithy coming across the line to start his lap. Track temperature's up to 30 degrees, so he running a slightly warmer track here to get the tyres up to temperature. Lauritsen goes second, but look how close it was. 8 thousandths of a second. That's incredibly close. And I have a feeling he got a tow from Keeloff as Ben Davis goes to sixth on 23.262. But we'll go on board now with Jack Keithy. And ahead of him, and who is that ahead of him? I'll work that out on my screen to keep on board with Keithy. Out of the complex. How's his first sector looking as he comes up towards the stripe? The answer to that is he's down by 300, so he's close. He's in the mix here, but I have a feeling that he's going to get a tow from his teammate, and he will manage to possibly put himself in contention for pole position. So onto the back of the circuit towards Church he goes, then Keithy looking pretty strong. Keithy, of course, ran in the FSR World Championship this past weekend as well. Finished fourth behind Ivar Calamet, he's another TPS driver. And he's down again, he's down by a couple more hundredths. And here comes the crucial part, the slipstream down the back straight. Look at this, he immediately pulls out of the way, gives Keithy clear space and a clear run on the racing line. Break in a straight line here. Good overtaking point as well, as we've seen. Keithy hops over the curves again. Relatively straight line through there. Across the line he goes. Is it going to be pole position? The answer to that is... yes, it is! By a tenth of a second, 122.141. Excellent lap from the championship leader, Jack Keithy. Trumps Toby Davis by pretty much almost a tenth. Excellent stuff. So, Keithy goes to the top of the pile. Looking quickly through the rest of the time, Simon Keilov is also on a lap, and we'll quickly go to cycle through to him. And here he is, and he was in fact the car in front. So Keilov will now have the favour returned by Keithy. And how is Keilov looking in this first sector? He's down by half a tenth, but I'm pretty confident he'll gain all that back in this second sector. The rest of the field coming through. Who else is on a lap that is still to set a time? Rasmus Sala hasn't gone out yet. He still has 3 minutes to go out there. Chris Butcher's on a lap. Simon Shepherd's up to 19th. Chris Hack is also on a run as well. Rasmus Sala hasn't left pit lane. Jimmy Hughes is up to 14th. And Keilov is up by 7,000 of a second in the second sector. So, it's on now, and John Monroe's out too. Now then, looking at where anyone else is slotted in, Chris Butcher hasn't done a time yet, but he's out on track, as we said. Keilov then down under brakes for the chicane then. Is he going to be able to snatch pole? Will it be 2 poles from 2 here at Thruxton? Works his way over the curves and towards the pit straight. Here's the result then. Does Keilov go to pole? No, he doesn't. Misses out by 10,000 of a second. 122.151. That shows you just how close and how competitive the Precision boys are. It's still, at the moment, an all-Precision front row. Now looking at the standings, who else have we got to come through? Rasmus Salo is on a lap now. Rasmus Salo is running nicely. Who else has come up through the times here? Chris Butcher is up to 6th. So Chris Butcher's popped into 6th. Rasmus Salo will go across the line to start his lap time, I think. Looking through, and also we've got Florian Strauss on his lap too. So we'll go with Rasmus Salo first. And we'll keep an eye on their times as they go through. John Monroe's absolutely flying though. We're going to have to go to John Monroe. Excellent run in the first sector. Fastest first sector of anyone so far. And here's the tow he's getting from Simon Keilov then. Towards the end of the second sector, has he managed to find any more time? The young Scotsman absolutely rocketing his way around the Thruxton circuit here. And is he up any more? Yeah, he is. Look at this. He's up by almost a tenth. What a lap from John Monroe so far. As is Rasmus Salo. Salo's up by a tenth, by 0.132. Fantastic stuff here. Watch for Monroe first. Under brakes. Will he be able to snatch a pole position in his only second race? For Precision, fairly clear run over the chicane. Is it going to be pole for John Monroe? We'll find out. Can he do it? The Scotsman goes third. He lost out. But Rasmus Salo is absolutely flying at the moment. He's almost 2 tenths up. Where is he? There he is, Rasmus Salo. No aid of a toe. This is incredible. Where has this come from? Rasmus Salo has been mighty impressive. Can he snatch pole? Well, here he comes then through the final chicane. Hops over. Has he lost any time? We'll find out. A little wide on the exit. Rasmus Salo, can he get a pole for Optimum Sim Racing? Answer is yes! 129.969. Incredible from Rasmus Salo. Who expected that? The flying Finn indeed. What a lap. An absolute stonking effort. Unbelievable. Well done. Now we're going to quickly look at also Florian Strauss. How's he doing here? Strauss is down by almost half a second. But he's, at the moment, that time will slot him in. Half a second will put him around, I would say, 6th or 7th. If he does stay half a second off, he'll be around about, he'll take 7th on the 4th row alongside Tom Ely. Under brakes he comes. Unless he can miraculously find any time, then he'll have to settle, I think, for roughly around the 4th row of the lower echelons of the top 10. Strauss puts it across the line and goes 10th. So he does actually slot himself into the end of the top 10 there. So how about that? From a fantastic finish to another shocking qualifying session. The second qualifying for race 2's done it again. Another surprise pole sitter. Rasmus Sarlo trumps the three precision cars and Toby Davis to take pole in a fantastic effort, and again, only man in the 121s. Must be something about this second qualifying session that just brings out the best of some unexpected drivers. Anyway, there is the standings. We'll come back to them in a second. We'll take a 2-minute break, and we'll be back with you before you know it.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing, puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number one on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
And welcome back then to Thruxton with just 3 minutes left in the warm-up session for race 2 of round 4 of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series here, run by TouringProSeries and backed by Tom Onslow-Cole and Team Hard. Right, with less than 3 minutes left, we'll quickly scoot through the grid for race 2 then. And what a qualifying session it was then. Look at the man on pole. Who expected Rasmus Sarlo? It's a pleasant surprise that we see him on top. 1:21.969 again. As we had in qualifying for race 1, only one person making the 121s. Excellent stuff. So Rasmus Sarlo on pole for Optimum with Jack Keithley, championship leader, alongside him in second. Simon Keelov and John Monroe are on row 2, respectively in third and fourth. Toby Davis sits fifth, ahead of Alexander Lauritsen in sixth. Tommy Lee is seventh, ahead of Chris Hack in eighth. Excellent qualifying from him. And Chris Butcher improves his qualifying performance from race 1, 3 places up to start ninth, ahead of Florian Strauss. 11th place is Scott Sober. He couldn't repeat his top 10 performance in race 1 for race 1. Ahead of Pipo Rodriguez in 12th place. Jesper Talborg down in 13th this time. Watch him storm through the field. He was electric in that first race. Ahead of Heinz Petzold in 14th. We've got Gary Lennon and Ben Davis. Better qualifying session this time to start 16th. Thomas Jacobs for 6th axis, and Darren Adams for core on row 9. And on row 10 it's going to be Thomas Matusevsky. I've got to get that right. I was told off if I didn't say his name right. Thomas Matusevsky and Jay Adji, and all THR 10th row. And the rest of the grid, then, as we scroll down, Luca Pecklage is 23rd, ahead of Jonathan Osserklint. Jimmy Hughes and James Gahagan are 23rd and 24th. Robert Powell and Nick Hughes are 25th and 26th. And Kevin Enderman and Tom Noby are 27th and 28th. Then coming near the back of the field, Davey Van Der Venne is 29th, ahead of Simon Shepherd in 30th. And at the back there, that rounds up the 15-car grid for this race. So, moving on to then the race then. Well, what we learn from race 1 is that Toby Davis, when he gets a gap and he's able to get into the lead, he can streak away, but the precision cars have one key word, and that's teamwork. They really did know how to work as a team and really made the most of the slipstreams they were able to put together. On board at the moment with the current fastest man in warm-up, that is Alexander Lauritsen, although Jack Keating's going slightly quicker. Warm-up, of course, the chance for the guys to just about kind of get heat into their tyres, get used to the cars on with the race tyres and race fuel and the race setup that they're going to be using, and gives an indication of race pace as well. So it seems to be that the precision cars have the outright race pace. And Talborg and Keithy and Keelov flying in these second sectors here. They are definitely the hares of the team, where it's more or less that Lauritsen is more like the banker, if you like. The other three teammates do tend to pull away quite fast. And also looking, Chris Butcher's got decent race pace too. He can't manage to come up to the field. He finished 10th. So that's some points on the board for him. He definitely, as far as I can work out, will not slip into Division 1, which is definitely a good thing, as Lauritsen goes top again. Fantastic stuff from him to jump up. We're just about ready to go to the second race session then for race 2 then. We head towards the end of this. in this warm-up session. So this session will advance in just a second. And of course, Toby Davis will be looking to get himself second win in a row. We now look to Rasmus, trying to find Rasmus Sarlo. If we can find him. I think if we can have a look and see if we can find out where he's gone. Here he is. There's Rasmus Sarlo. So we'll go with them. And what's been amazing is Rasmus Sarlo, who said he really has been impressive. He's managed to put on some fantastic performances here in the Clios and really making a name for himself in TPS here. He's not someone that at least I've seen race too much around since the last year or so, but he has really come on strong and he's definitely putting on the performance that, Rasmus Sarlo, I thought he almost stalled on the grid, but he managed to get the car away. And once again, track and air temperature are 27 degrees each, so it's a fairly cold track. A colder track than we had before in the last race, but air temperature is exactly the same. So men to watch then throughout the grid then, well, it's going to be obviously Rasmus Sarlo. Let's see what he can do to hold off the charge. He'll need a decent start off the line to make sure that he can do that. He got a really fantastic start in race 1 to get up there into the top 5 by the end of the first couple of laps. Another man to watch is definitely going to be 5th place Toby Davis here. He started on the front row of the grid and he will want to repeat his, as I said, get a second win in a row, his 4th win in a row, and also his 4th win in Thruxton in 2 years. Also a man to watch possibly from 8th on the grid, but maybe Chris Hack. Chris Hack there in the Lenovo sponsored Core Racing car. Always has some decent race pace in him and can definitely try and shine if everything falls into place. Also a man to watch from 9th, Chris Butcher. He started outside the top 10 in race 1, he started in it for race 2. And I'm pretty sure that he will want to force way up to the field. He could be a contender, his race pace was good. A top 5 finish could be in contention there. Also, Florian Strauss behind him in 10th. Now, Florian Strauss, decent in qualifying, but he did sort of fall down through the field quite a bit. And managed to hold on to the lower echelons of the top 10, as we said. That's the field making their way through Church. Who else is also going to be someone to possibly watch? This man here, definitely, Jesper Talbor, down in 13th. But don't expect him to stay there for long because he's going to be absolutely shooting up through the field. He was, I'm sure, one of the fastest men in that first race. And no doubt expecting to be at least in the top 10. Wouldn't surprise if he gets up into the top 5 and manages to get in amongst those precision cars once again. So, a 30-car field then for race 2 here of round 4 of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series. And we're almost set to go racing here. Track temperature's going up now, up to 29 degrees. So, of course, as the drivers weave their way around through the club chicane, getting heat into the tyres, they're putting more heat down into the track. Of course, they'll use this section just to get themselves a few more burnouts to get some more extra heat, last-minute heat into the tyres. Get the best possible launch they can then. Rasmus Sarlo brings the number 92 Optimum Sim Racing Clio, the blue and black machine there in your picture. The rest of the field get themselves onto the grid, and we're all set for the racing. You know the procedure, it's going to be the red lights, and as soon as they go out, we're all set to go then. Right, so wait for the lights then. It is race 2 of round 4 of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series. Here come the lights. Revs are rising. Off the start, ready. Lights out and away we go. Good start from Keithy off the line. He's got the lead off the run, but Solo's going to go level with him. And almost also Kilo's up into 3rd already. And challenging already as Solo and Keithy go side by side. Monroe goes wide off the start. He's lost a couple of places down to 7th already. And he's up to 6th. A great start from the THR Purple driver. Up into the complex for the first time. Solo dives down the inside. They're side by side again. A couple of nudges, but Keithy's through as one of the Ice Car Racing cars went wide. And out of the complex, look at that, we've also got Kilo up the inside of Davis. It's a repeat of race 1. But out of the complex to go, it's Keithy from Sarlo, then Davis, and Kilo, Lauritsen, Ely. As they head down towards the back of the circuit for the first time. Look at, they're all over each other. And Toby Davis almost gets up literally inside Sarlo's car. He's right on the back bumper as they head through. And once again, they head towards Church once more. And Monroe's having to redefend from Tom Ely as well as they head down towards Church for the first time. But once again, look at that shot. It's fantastic as they absolutely fly through Church. What a shot. One of the Walk Racing cars takes out our camera. Thanks for that. And look at this. They're 3 wide down towards it. Kilov's in the middle. Keithy on the inside. Solo on the outside. Davis is watching in the background, and there goes Keithley up the inside and Keelov's into second. So it's a precision 1-2. And look at the traffic jam through the chicane, absolutely chock-a-block. Cross the line they go, as Davis is almost up the inside towards Allard at the end of the first lap. It's Keithley from Keelov. And Davis almost has third place, but Salo covers the line well, and Ely's coming with him as well. So, hot on the tail of the pole sitter is Toby Davis, diving up the inside. Has he got the line into third place? Yes, he has. Not, or maybe not, because Salo was very brave around the outside of Campbell, and he's making sure that Davis does not get that place easily. Looking back, look behind here, pole sitter Rasmus Salo. There's car number 1, Toby Davis. Behind him, Tom Ely in 5th. And Chris Butcher's come up from 9th to 6th. We said to watch for him. He really is flying. Where's Talbot? Talbot's up to 9th already. What a start for Jesper Talbot. Got 4 places on the first lap. We said to watch these two to fly to the field, and they're doing just that. Here comes Toby Davis up the inside of Salo then, towards Church Corner. He's got the line. Has he got the place, I wonder? Not quite, but he does give Salo a bit of a nudge. Almost forcing him right onto the grass here. Wonderful run. Looking back again. Look at the trio of THR machines here. In order, that's Davis, Ely and Butcher. And Ely looking to try and grab 4th place here. Butcher looks to the outside as well. And look at the nose. And look at Monroe behind. Monroe is, I think he's sideways. He's sideways. Monroe's off. Monroe is off and around, and he's back to, where's he gone to? Down to the back of it. You think he might be out of the race. Oh, that is a disaster for John Monroe. I think he just clasped the curb a bit too much and speared off into the barrier, and that looks like he's going to be race over. What a shame for the young Scotsman. As behind, Davis is looking to the outside. He's gone wide on the exit of Campbell, and he's all over the place. And this now has it let Ely through? Oh, he's putting himself right out of shape on the grass. Almost takes his teammates out. Toby Davis, what are you doing? And through all of that, Chris Butcher just comes up to 4th place. So Davis has got to do it all again, and look behind, because now here comes the cavalry in the shape of Jesper Tolborg. Isn't this magnificent? Strauss is up to 8th meanwhile. Sovic's up to 9th. Petzold's in 10th. And Gary Lennon and Peter Rodriguez are pretty much equal on the split. They're so close together. And they head through, and you don't look away from the front because it can change in an instant. Look at the run now that these guys have got. On board now with David Davis. He's got a grandstand view. You can get the popcorn out here. Look at this. Ely up the inside of Butcher towards the club chicane. Will he try and move on one of his teammates? Yes, he does. Butcher breaks super early and allows both Ely and Davis up the inside and through into 4th and 5th place. And Rasmus Salo, in the meantime, has just sprinted away and is actually catching the 2 position cars in front. As Keelov sets the fast lap of the race, and that's trumped by Rasmus Salo, 22.4, as Davis he gives Ely the hurry up. Says, come on Tom, get on with it, I want to get up to the front. Move it. And he looks like he's going to give up 4th place. Indeed he does. And there goes Davis into 4th then. Or has he? Maybe he didn't give it up. Maybe Davis was just ambitious up the inside under brakes. And they've all closed up again, look. They're doing exactly what Precision did in the first race. They're all closing up to try and catch, and it did help them. It did help them out. Back to the front though, and what's going on here then? Well, this is seeing at the times here, Keelov and Keithley, but looking back to Keithley, there is Rasmus Salo. He's not letting them get away. He's actually starting to close the gap. He's down to less than a second between Keelov in the lead and Salo in 3rd place. Through Church they go again. And I wonder if Salo's got a little less wing on his car here, because he really is starting to press the issue here. He really is starting to fight back as they head down towards the club chicane again. We're going to watch these guys here. Davis is now, I think, again up the inside of Ely. Will he try and get under brakes? Yes, he does. I think Butcher's going to try and go with him. And Davis does go through. Meanwhile, back here, look at the procession here. The traffic jam is headed by Strauss. Then we've got ahead of that is behind him is Scott Sovic. As Rasmus Salo again is catching fastest lap of the race on 22.1. That's 2 cents off his pole time. As Sovic once again is now chasing after Strauss for 8th. Petzold is in the top 10. Garrett Lennon in the blue, black and white ice cold racing car is in 10th. Garrett Lennon in 11th. Excuse me. Alexander Lauritsen in 12th. And look at that. Strauss is now forcing Sovic. He's trying to go around the outside of Florian Strauss. He puts you one onto the grass, and there goes Strauss off onto the grass there. I think you'll find that's a Renault Clio, not a lawnmower, Florian Strauss. Get yourself back on the track right now. And there goes Peter Rodriguez round the outside into 12th place. Back to the front. And look at the gap now. Rasmus Salo really has closed in. This is magnificent. And also you can see Davis is in 4th. And what kind of pace has he got? Can he catch this leading 3? Well, here comes Keithley on the back of Kilo. The day defending from the team leader. But here comes Salo. He gets a double toe down towards the club chicane here. Into the braking zone. Where's Keithley going to go? Will he back off? He does slightly, but he's going to have to be careful because here comes Rasmus Salo. I think the question I have to ask is, are we quite sure that Rasmus isn't related to Mika? Because this is definitely the pace that Mika Salo would probably set in a Clio Cup car, I'm guessing. But hit into Allard once again for the 6th time. And heading up towards Allard once again. And how much more can Rasmus Salo close in here under braking? He's getting very close, in fact. Had a look up the inside, but just wasn't far enough alongside the door of Jack Keithley to make his move. So, onto the back of the circuit once again. Keilov leads, Keithley 2nd, Rasmus Salo in 3rd. Then going back to Toby Davis here in 4th. And he's bringing his THR teammates with him. There's Edie in 5th, Butcher 6th, Talborg 7th. The rest of the top 10 is made up by Lauritsen, Petsov and Sovic. Back here to Jack Keithley in 2nd. And can he find a way past here? Either of these guys, if either of these guys win, it'll be their 3rd victory of the season. The only victories they've managed were the double headers. It was Keithley who won both races in Verano, and it was Keilor who won both races at the season opener in Brands Hatch. And Salo would dearly love a podium if he can obtain it, but you'll have to be careful because if Toby Davis has got any pace left in him, and I imagine he has, he will start to hunt them down. The gap's now 0.2 and he has taken out another 0.2 of a second out of 3rd place. So Davis is starting to turn the wick up on that THR machine. Maybe using his tyres a bit more. If Keithley stays in formation behind his teammate. The Dane leads the Englishman. And it's almost an all-Scandinavian affair because, of course, Salo's from Finland. And looking behind, what's going on behind them? Well, looking at the gaps, you can see that Davis has pulled out a 2nd gap to Ely, who himself is 4th. Well, it's closer now. Look at what's going on here then, because here is Ely looking back now at Chris Butcher. There's Jesper Talborg in the number 3 car. The number 2 car is Chris Butcher. That's the car with the red accents on it. Jesper Talborg has the orange accents on the front of his car. And Ely's providing Butcher a rather nice toe. And as you get closer, right on the back bumper, I'm pretty sure either Chris Butcher wants to eat Tom Ely's back bumper, or he wants to claim it for himself, because he really is. In fact, he's set some NASCAR-style tandem drafting down the back straight. That's fantastic. Haven't seen that. It's not the first time we've seen that. And look at how Chris Butcher clouts over those curves, puts him way out of shape, and that's now given Talborg the run up the inside, and he gets himself into 6th. Now, how much more pace has he got left in him? Well, as we talk about that, Davis has actually dropped back, and maybe he got a scruffy exit out of the final corner, because that now Edie's closed into 0.6 of a second. Meanwhile, battle back at the front hasn't changed much. It's still 0.1 of a second between Keilov and Keithley then for 1st and 2nd. Rasmus Salo just keeping there or thereabouts. On board now with Keithley. There is Simon Keilov's car. You can tell it says Simon on the back. Go figure. Through Goodwood. A little bit of inside curve there from both cars. Keithley's line maybe a little bit tighter. Down the back section, down the village straight. Into Church, behind the tyre wall and the marshal post on the inside line there. And I wonder, has Keithley got enough for a run here to possibly try and think about making a pass? At the end of this lap, they will be at half distance. Under brakes again. Bit of flame from the exhaust of Keilov's car. The unburnt fuel just being shot into the exhaust. Makes a fantastic spectacle as they fly over the curbs again. There's Salo in 3rd place, just keeping them honest. Gap across the line is 1.2 seconds. So he's not really able to make too many inroads, but he is managed to keep a stable gap ahead of Toby Davis in 4th place. Ely in 5th now. The THR Perth machine, can't miss it. Under brakes now. Car 69. Yes, yes, if you're laughing at home, very childish, but very true. This Patel walks 6th. There's Chris Butcher 7th. Let's quickly look back at behind what's going on behind them. Now here's a gaggle of cars. Now, whilst we've been looking at the leaders, Gary Lennon has popped himself up into 8th place, and behind, here comes the cavalry in terms of, well, we're on board with Scott Sovic, Thruxton Sim Racing. Behind him there, car 48 is Alexander Larrittson for position, and both the core racing cars are Chris Hack and Darren Adams. Chris Hack is there with the pink mirrors, and Darren Adams is behind, I think, with the red mirrors if it's in the background. And I wonder here, Larrittson thinks sizing up for a pass here on Scott Sovic. Well, he's Norwegian by nationality, but Scottish in accent, and up the inside goes Larrittson. Wonderful pass through Church. That takes real commitment to make a pass through Church. And also, look at this, the 2 core racing cars fancy a piece of the action too. They're coming with them. Hack up the inside of Larrittson. It's almost going to be 3 wide, I think it is. Oh, it's going to end in tears if it is. It's almost 3 wide. Up inside goes Chris Hack, and he made it sticky. He makes contact with Larrittson, who shuts the door. All over the place. Oh, and Chris Hack almost. Oh, and Scott Sovic gets shuffled off into the barriers and loses out. He's down to almost 13th as there goes Jimmy Hughes in the walk racing car. Poor old Scott Sovic is minding his business, and he gets shoved off into the tyres. And Florian Strauss fancies a piece of that as well. He's dropped to 14th, so his race isn't going fantastically. But he'll want to try and get past, and that's going to cause damage there to the front of the car. The front bumper's been ripped off. That's going to hurt the front tyres here. Of course, major wear, so I think Scott Sovic is only going to fall backwards through the field, unless the car's not going to cope too badly with that kind of damage. But we'll find out. Back to the front here. Looking back from Kilov's car. There's the ever-present figure of Jack Keithley, who seems to me that he's got the straight. I mean, Jack himself felt that the slipstream effect wasn't going to be so prominent. At least for him, he felt. And that's proving right, at least in Keithley's concern, because he doesn't seem to be running as much wing. Doesn't seem to be running as less downforce as Kilov is, which is allowing the Danes to stay in front. Either that, he's just easing off so he can allow Kilov to maintain his lead. And in the background, the gap between Salo and Davis is down to 1.5 seconds. So Davis has got some pace in him, but not enough to close into the front 2. And also you can see behind in the gaps at the bottom, you can see that Talbot and Ely have pulled away from Chris Butcher, who is 7th, and is 2.5 seconds behind Ely in 6th. But he himself is 6 seconds ahead of Lennon in 8th. He's comfortably in 7th, almost in no man's land if you like. Stays there. Himself 7th points, 7th place, is a decent points. A solid points haul. Looking back again on the back of the circuit through Goodwood onto Village, and a high-speed run down towards Village Church once again. And 3 they go. And Salo in 3rd, chased by Davis in 4th. Talbot up to 5th now, has passed Ely in 6th. There's Butcher in 7th. We wait now for the ice cold racing car of Gary Lennon. Here it is, and he's actually been caught now. That's interesting. He's been now caught by Alexander Larrittson in the precision car. Looking back now from Gary Lennon's machine, the elder statesman of the ice cold racing team. Bit of a duel on the background going on between Darren Adams, Chris Hack and Jimmy Hughes. And Hughes, I think, is looking to make a pass now. Look to the outside, but Adams had the line covered. And look at that in front. That was Larrittson up the inside of Gary Lennon. He's made the move stick, and that was a fantastic move. A switchback through the club chicane, and he's up to 8th. Brilliant pass. Absolutely sensational. Right, meantime, I've spotted that. Look at this. Toby Davis has found a fantastic run on Rasmus Salo, and he's now looking to try and snatch a podium place. The 1st and the 3rd will definitely do Toby Davis nicely. But he knows that Kilov, if he gets a win, that'll be a 1st and a 2nd, so Kilov will lead with more points. And what a run that Davis got on the outside. He let Salo drift to the outside through Goodwood, and he snaps on that instantly. 3rd place for Toby Davis. What a pass that was. But now the question is, how much more pace has he got left in him to close in on the two position cars in front, if anything? What a manoeuvre that was. But is it over? Because now we're looking back now from Toby Davis' car. There is Rasmussen. Will he dive up the inside? No. Davis covered him off for the moment. And look behind, because the man he's flying at the moment is Jesper Talborg. He's managed to put on a fantastic display of driving and some fantastic pace to close in on the Finn here. Rasmus Salo drops from what was pole position down to 4th, and Davis is starting to push now, taking 0.4 of a second out of the leading duo. There they are, and if anything, I'll say he's getting closer. Davis is now gunning. I think he's got enough time, I think, on this lap and 3 more. Has he got enough time now to close in on potentially getting 2 race victories here at Thruxton today? His 4th race victory in total, close by another 10. Can he get his 2nd win of the day as well? Or will Kilov take his 1st win, 3rd win of the season, and one better than he managed in race 1? Of course, he was so close, but some excellent defensive driving meant from Toby Davis a fantastic save into the club chicane, but he wasn't quite able to make his move. Well, Davis has lost the 10th now, as again we look at the 2 leaders. And Keithy shaping up for a pass here. No, he just darts out, and he allows Keithy to just slot in behind him again as they hop over the curbs for the 13th time out of 16. And across the line they go once more. And we'll keep an eye on this battle, because what I want to do is try and focus on some of the cars behind. And I can see there's a battle going on for 9th. So if we quickly go down through the field, this is the battle for 8. Alexander Lauritsen getting very crossed up over the chicane and being tailed now by both of the Cat racing cars. In fact, where's Jared Lennon gone to? Jared Lennon has disappeared. Where's he got to? He's out of the race. Oh, Gary Lennon's out of the race. That's such a shame. He was running about 8th or 9th. And that is... Who was that? That's Pipo Rodriguez. And he's had some contact somewhere, because that is a rather ruined front end of that Clio. And he's out of the race too. Such a shame that is. Back to the front. And Rasmus Salo is now fallen away to 2.1 second gap to Toby Davis. Now, what about the gap at this point here? I think possibly, unless a major incident occurs between these 2 guys at the front, I think that these guys have got it wrapped up. But Davis is pushing. You can see he wants to try and close up and capitalise on any mistake. And look at that same line that Kilov takes. He just calmly holds the inside line and lets Kilov just slot back behind him. Kilov likes to dart out and just make sure that he's just let Simon know he's covering him from any impending rearward attacks from Davis, who takes 0.2 of a second in the final sector. Davis fastest man on the track by far. I'd like to think at least, but right now it's not enough. He needs to be taking more than a couple of tenths a sector out of them to stand the charts, and I think it could possibly be game, set and match for precision in this race. Then again, we said that about race 1, and then Kilov managed to pop up the inside going into the final lap. So, what do we know? Another tenth taken out this time. Davis is pushing. As I said, he's trying his best that he can. Davis, a very accomplished racer in Touring Pro Series. Of course, a supercar racer in real life. Very accomplished there as well. And just trying to close in at some point here. I'm not sure if he's got enough pace about him. Another tenth taken out despite the aid of a tow from these 2. And once again, Kilov has just got Keithy there as his rear gunner then, looking out for any impending attacks. And again, Kilov holds the inside run, hops over the curbs, and Davis closing on the braking once more. They'll go into the final lap now, as Davis gets on 2 wheels of the exit of the final corner. Across the line, what's the gap reading this time? It's 2 seconds, so only taking a tenth out per sector. It's not going to be enough. And I'd like to think these guys Keithy won't risk a last lap pass, but he'll stay behind his teammates. But you never know. Keithy may get a little greedy here, but I've never known Keithy to get to want to push teammates out of the way for his own needs, as Davies goes onto the grass, and Talbot's got past Rasmus Salo. So Talbot getting the final laps has closed in and passed Rasmus Salo, and if anything, Chris Butcher's Tommy's looking pretty quick as well. But we now wait for the end of the final lap here, and I think this possibly is going to be a precision 1-2, and it'll go to Kilov, who will take his third win of the season. Another podium to what I would think is going to sustain Keithley's championship lead. Down the back straight for the final time. Keithley pulls out. I can't imagine he's going to dive down the inside, or will he? Well, we'll hold with bated breath here. Is he going to try? No, he doesn't. So, after narrowly missing out in race 1, Kilov will get his win he should have got in race 1 through the final corner. Davis will close, but it's too late, and a formation finish for Precision is a win for Simon Kilov ahead of Jack Keithley. Toby Davis will take third, 1.8 seconds in the end, behind the two Precision cars, and fourth will go to Jesper Talbot, just on the line by 2/10 of a second from Rasmus Salo in fifth. Tom Edi will get sixth for THR Pebble. Seventh goes to Chris Butcher. Two solid points hauls in the lower half of the top 10. And look at the finish for eighth here. Lauritsen just beats Darren Adams to the line. Chris Hack gets 10th, ahead of Florian Strauss 11th. Chris Jimmy Hughes just holds off Scott Sovic for 12th. 14th will go to a recovering Heinz Petzold, and 15th goes to Robert Powell after starting at the bottom of the grid. Tom Noby gets 16th place. And the rest of the field, and John Monroe actually did carry on after that early incident, and has to settle for 17th place. 18th goes to Simon Shepherd, 19th to Thomas Jacobs, 20th to Ben Davis. Look down the rest of the field here, and only 24 cars finished then. 21st to Jay Adji, 22nd to James Gahagan, 23rd to Davy Van der Venne, 24th to Jonathan Osserklint. And with that pretty much wraps up the racing. Obviously we're not done just yet, because we are going to go to the interviews with the drivers, so we'll get them in just a moment. And whilst we wait, we're going to play a few sponsor videos. But there we go then. Wins for Toby Davis and Simon Kilov here. The racing is all finished at round 4 of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series here for TouringProSeries. Back in 2 minutes with the driver interviews.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing. Puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number 1 on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
InsideSimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Alrighty, so welcome back then to the post-race thoughts of the post-race press conference, I suppose, for the two races of round 4 of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series. Congratulations to all of our winners, and first of all, we're going to have a chat with our race 1 winner and race 2 podium finisher in third, Toby Davis. Toby, excellent stuff. You managed a third win on the road, your third win at Thruxton. The first race, though, it looked as though you had it finished on the outset. You had a fantastic run in the lead, but then right at the end, got a bit dramatic, didn't it?
Yeah, obviously, I pushed my tyres too hard in the opening laps of that race, and the Precision boys caught me. So for race 2, I changed some of my settings, 1 or 2 of my settings, tried to get a bit better tyre wear out of the tyres rather than go for maximum speed, which really worked actually. I had really good tyre wear towards the end of the race and was catching, but yeah, the dice at the end of race 1, that was interesting to say the least. And obviously we made a small amount of contact into the final chicane and got massively sideways, but it turned out in my favour in the end. So I'm pretty pleased about that. But having led 15 of 16 laps, I wasn't going to give it away on the last lap.
That was an Ivan Muller style save. I'm pretty sure you'll agree with that one. That was fantastic car control. Race 2, you didn't seem to have, obviously made some changes to the settings. You had to start from 5th. And then you had to fight your way through up to 3rd place. And then in the end, you were pretty quick, but you just ran out of laps, didn't you, to try and catch the 2 guys in front?
I don't know what they were doing, but somehow they were sort of not necessarily bump drafting, but getting a slipstream from each other, and it was helping Kilo in front as well. So the lap times were quite frankly excellent. But as I say, I was looking after my tyres that race in the early laps, and that helped me towards the end of the race. But it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the 1st and 3rd, quite frankly. I'm still very much in with a shout at this championship. Particularly as we come into Poznan, which I did very well at last year. So we'll see.
Of course, and obviously, good haul of points. You do feel that, of course, with Chris back in the team, of course, after he wasn't present in Rockingham, do you feel that you guys still are making progress towards fighting with precision? Because, of course, you took 1 race victory today. Do you feel that moving into Poznan, you can continue making steps to get one over on them?
Yeah, I need 1 or 2 of my teammates to sort of, be around me, perhaps a little bit more. Obviously, Precision were in a line in race 1, and then they had the front 2 together in race 2, and somehow we couldn't make it work in a train for ourselves in race 2 in particular. So we perhaps need to work a little bit on that. And of course, they had their qualifying runs down as well, which we didn't quite. But yeah, they did a better job than us in race 2 particularly. So congratulations to Precision.
Well, well done, Toby, on the race victory in the podium, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see you with a similar performance in Poznan.
Cheers, Scott.
Okay, so we're now going to talk to our race 2 winner and our 2nd place man in race 1, Simon Kielov. Simon, obviously, we were talking earlier on in the week about what was going to be key, and I remember you said to me that the slipstream was definitely going to be something that was quite key. You definitely seemed to prove that way, because you guys in race 1 were definitely you were slipstreaming a lot, and also in race 2. How crucial was it that you guys had to stay together in the tow?
Well, yeah, in the qualifying it worked a lot for us. In the first qualifying we did it good, so I got pole, and yeah, in the start Toby he got a gap, and we had to fight with Florian, and then Toby just ran off, and I was just trying to catch it back, but yeah, he got a too big gap, and in the second race me and Jack we was just like, yeah, just going and don't overtake and just draft each other. So yeah, congrats to Jack also.
You narrowly missed out on the race 1 victory. What was going through your mind when you saw Toby Davis sideways through the club chicane?
Well, yeah, I don't know really what happened. I was on the inside and I was just like going sideways, and I don't know what happened.
And of course, going into Poznan, of course, you've taken 3 race victories already this season. Do you feel that you can possibly make it 4 going into the next round?
Yeah, we will see. I hope we can get a 1-2 again. 2 race wins again, so yeah.
Well, congratulations, Simon, on your 1st and 2nd, and fingers crossed for more success in Poznan.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have a chat now with another of the position guys, which is Jack Keithley. Jack, excellent stuff today. You managed to grab yourself a podium finish in 2nd place, but in the race 1, as we're talking to Simon, a lot of slipstream going on, and I remember you said that it wouldn't be so key, but was it just plain the fact that the nature of the circuit it managed to play out that way?
Yeah, it's better to stay in the slipstream and save the tyres. And I mean, race 1, I wouldn't have been where I was at the end of the first lap if I didn't mess up my start. But yeah, race one went pretty good, and yeah, I was just saving tyres, but they still went off a bit. So yeah, still a good result.
And race two, obviously you were behind teammate Kilov for a long time. Of course, you guys decided to stay in formation. Was there any thought in your mind that you wanted to try and pass, or was the plan just to stick behind Simon to the end of the race and hand him the victory?
Only if Simon made a major mistake somewhere, or if the gap to Toby was much greater, but because he was closing at a rapid rate, I just said, let's just stay in line and stay with this and get to the finish 1-2.
Of course, going into Poznan, I'm not 100% sure what the championship situation is, but of course you came in to this race, of course, still leading the championship. Are you expecting to have left the championship still leading?
Yes, but only by a couple of points. But Poznan next should be interesting. My first ever clear race I've done there. I got pole and I did make a couple of mistakes, but it was a good race. So it should be good there next time. Hopefully, Precision can stay up the front.
Well, fingers crossed it's more the same, just minus the mistakes from your first visit to Poznan. So well done, Jack, for the podiums. Hopefully more the same in Poznan.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next man we're going to have a chat to is, if he can hear me, have a chat with Rasmus Sarlo. Rasmus is there and available. Rasmus, you had yes. Rasmus, well done. You had some fantastic racing in race one to come up through the field, but race two for qualifying. Talk us about that qualifying lap, because that lap time came from nowhere.
Yeah, it did. I guess there's not much to say. Expect that I pretty much hit every corner perfectly, and yeah.
And
that
then
time came up.
And then throughout the race, in race two, you just seemed to get a good start, and then you were able to kind of just almost stay with the precision cars, and then eventually you started just to fall away. Was it playing you tyres, or the fact that the two precision cars in front were obviously drafting each other that was the key factor?
No, the two precision guys, they went that fast. You know, I managed to keep up with them in the first laps, but then the tyres came to play and they wore off, and I saw Toby and Jesper, I believe, catching me up. So yeah, it turned out to be a defending game towards the end, rather than challenging them.
And just quickly, just looking forward to Poznan, how do you rate your chances of that kind of circuit?
You know, to be honest, Scott, I have no idea what kind of circuit it is, so we'll see.
Well, best of luck, and well done for your pole position at least anyway, and well
Thank
done
you.
also for securing a 5th place this afternoon. I'm going to quickly have a chat, eventually chat to Chris Butcher to round up, but first of all I want to have a chat with John Monroe. John, if he's then available to talk to you. John, you had your first race weekend for Precision Motorsports, had a decent battle with your new teammates in race 1. Just talk us through your weekend as a whole, because race 2 didn't quite go to plan in the early stages, did it?
Yeah, well, going into the first race, we had a good strategy for qualifying, and it seemed to work really well, getting on the front row. So it's good to be back up there. And then obviously ran a bit wide at the start, and Toby got past. And then me and Simon were just following each other, trying to keep the gap to Toby. But then unfortunately Florian managed to get past with the draft, and he was defending hard, so we were struggling to get past him. We lost quite a bit of time. But then once we did, we just really put ourselves in line and just started pushing to try and catch Toby. And then obviously Simon made a slight mistake in the chicane, and I got past, and I made a slight mistake a couple of laps later. So maybe we would have all got up there a bit earlier if we hadn't made a few little mistakes. But apart from that, it went very well. Obviously Jack got past near the end, but still to get 4th position on my debut for Precision, I'm delighted with that. But of course race 2 didn't quite go to plan.
Yeah, just talk us through on what happened there, because it looks like you took a rather ragged line through, or rather wrong line through the last chicane, just speared it into the barriers. Just quickly give us a summary of what happened.
Well, no, I was kind of losing the draft from the guys in front. I thought, okay, I'm going to need to brake a little bit later than usual, and I also had guys following me close behind, so I thought I need to be careful here. And I broke kind of a qualifying kind of braking point. I know I could get it slowed down in time, and it would close the gap on the guys in front, because obviously they were getting a bit chock-a-block. And then turned into the chicane, a slightly wider line than usual, and I got alongside, a little bit alongside Chris, but yeah, just got the lines slightly wrong. I got a bad exit, getting too many wheels on the big curb, and then the car just starts bouncing, and when it bounced, unfortunately, it just went the wrong way, and the back end just completely stepped out and slid into the barrier. So it was basically just taking a bit slightly too ambitious line through the chicane, and bouncing caught me out, so ended up facing the wrong way in the barrier, and then it was an interesting race from then on.
Well, unfortunate for that, John. Hopefully your fortunes will pick up again for Poznan, so fingers crossed we'll see you there. And yeah, well done for the result that you did manage in race 1. And what we're going to quickly do is very quickly have a chat to Chris Butcher. Just one question. Chris, obviously you came back after missing out on Rockingham, 10th and 7th in the 2 races. Give us a very brief summary of your weekend, first race back since you missed out Rockingham.
Overall, pleased with the results I got. I wasn't expecting my pace to be anything particularly special, but happy with the 2 top 10s. Not as far off as I expected to be, so I've got a bit of work to do on the tyres still, because that's what's letting me down. Because I managed to keep up with my teammates in the first few laps, but then it just started dropping off. But I want to say thanks to I don't know who it was, but I think it was Car Racing. That I was having a pretty decent battle with in race 1. It was good fun. A nice way to come back into the series.
Well, excellent stuff, Chris, to grab podiums on your first race back, and hopefully we'll see more of the same in Poznan. Congratulations to both Toby and to Simon for their race victories and to all our podium finishes. We're going to very quickly wrap up this broadcast with let you know what you can expect to come up next in TPS. The next event we've got coming up is the next round of the virtual V8 Supercar Channel. Virtual V8 Supercar Championship, I should say. The next round is going to be on the 11th of May, and that's going to be on the streets of Adelaide. That's always a very favourite circuit of drivers. That'll be at 5:15 GMT or 6:15 UK time. The next event after that you can expect is going to be the next round of the Virtual Mini Challenge, where they head across from Brazil up to North America. They're going to head to Sebring, and that race is going to be on the 17th of May at 7:15 GMT or 8:15 UK time. Also, very quickly, you can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, and of course subscribe to us on YouTube as well. As you can follow on Facebook and Twitter, Tony Gillam and Team Hard and Tom Onslow-Cole as well. So that pretty much wraps up the broadcast then for this 4th round of the Tom Onslow-Cole Clio Series. Wins for Toby Davis and Simon Keelov, and certainly the championship battle rumbles on. The next race is going to be in Poznan in 2 weeks in Poland. Stay tuned for that. For myself and everyone at Touring Pro Series, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing, puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number 1 on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
InsideSimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.